Yes, he can. You betcha. No, he can't. It's the big man. Oh, Pollard. Has he stolen this one?
Hello and welcome to episode 45 of Radio Cricket. That is episode 45, the Brimful of Asher episode. It is also the same number of times that Sunil Gavaskar has said, this match is too close to call, but Dhoni should see them home so far this IPL. I am Nishant Joshi, and I'd like to start off this episode by apologising to you, our dear listeners, because in case I sound a bit shaky or fidgety this episode, I do have a medical condition at the moment. That is to say, I've actually got a case of IPL withdrawal syndrome, because I haven't seen Priti Zinta jumping up and down for the last 30 minutes. I am joined this week, as always, by the only Englishman you'll meet who's willing to admit that he actually watches the IPL, albeit in a trench coat and dark sunglasses. It is James Marsh.
Yes, hello Nishant. My name is James, and I am an IPL-aholic, Nishant. I'm afraid to say no sort of 12-step program can save me from it. But anyway, yes, how have you been this week?
Yes, James, I do believe that I am probably the founding member of the IPL-aholics club after having watched every single game in the past 3 years and having watched every single minute of every match so far this year as well. So, especially, I think, watching it along with commentating on Twitter as well, I think it's pretty much the cricketing equivalent of speedballing. So, yeah, watching the IPL isn't particularly healthy for my social life. I think my girlfriend is about to leave me. Oh, wait, I just looked to my right and she left a note saying, back in 77 days. So, yeah, it hasn't really done wonders for my personal life in the past few days. But at the end of the day, I think IPL is a bit of a kidnapper. I think I've reached a sort of Stockholm Syndrome stage with the IPL. I'm not entirely comfortable with the concept of it, but in the absence of other love and affection, I'm pretty willing to bow down to it.
Okay, well, I'm sure your girlfriend will be delighted on a number of levels to hear what you've just said, Nishant. But anyway, who can blame you for this addiction? Because it's been a fairly astonishing start to IPL 6. I mean, before we've even had these matches, we had Pitbull doing the opening ceremony. I thought he was fairly extraordinary. I must admit I wasn't completely au fait with him before now, but he's given me great hope that I too, well into my 30s, can still forge a career in Latino hip-hop. So, that was a lovely moment for me. But on the field, we've had some absolutely tremendous matches as well. We've had more tight moments than Sehwag putting on a pair of skinny jeans, Nishant. And there was, of course, Vinay Kumar stifling Pollard in the second match for Bangalore against Mumbai to steal a 2-run win. There was Kevon Cooper coming up with 3 wickets for Rajasthan to beat Delhi by 5 runs. We had Mumbai beating Chennai in another close game, Sunday's game between RCB and the Sunrisers, which ended in a super over, which was actually only the second time in domestic T20 cricket history when a side has scored 20 runs or more. The first time it happened in a super over was actually the Bushrangers versus Chennai back in 2010, when the Bushrangers scored 23 off an Ashwin over with David Hussey scoring 22 of them. Here it was another Australian, Cameron White, doing the damage. So Nishant, what did you make of that and all the other on-field excitement?
Well, yes, James, that match between the Sunrisers and the Royal Challengers Bangalore was a real humdinger of a match, as Ravi Shastri would say, and it did kind of underline the kind of theme that we've been having over the last few days, which is that of having a few low-scoring thrillers, which are always best formula for the best T20 matches we've seen. And quite surprisingly, so far, we haven't seen any scores of over 170, which you'd usually see plenty of in the IPL. We've seen a plethora of low-scoring matches, and that really has surprised a lot of people, including myself. It seems like the pitches have been slightly juicier, which is good to see, and moreover, the quality of batting seems to be quite brainless. I think that perhaps batsmen aren't really assessing the situation properly. Perhaps they're taking the pitches for granted as well, and not really playing out the first 6 overs when batting first as they should do. And being a bit more circumspect. I think they're going a bit too hell for leather a bit too early on. But by the same token, I don't think that sides have adhered to our rules of T20 at all. For example, when batting second, I think that the conditions have been pretty good with the new ball. And of course, our most famous rule of T20 is to break the back in the first 6 overs of the chase and pretty much seize the momentum, kill the game in a low-scoring match. That is your opportunity to kill the game and really put the opposition on the back foot. The second cardinal sin which a lot of teams have been committing is the wickets in hand fallacy, which of course that means that teams have been trying to conserve wickets till the death times, and by the time the best batsmen get in, they really just have to rush from ball 1, and sometimes they don't really get enough balls to make the best impact. And for example, for the Sunrisers, I think they got away with murder playing Sangakkara at number 5 against Bangalore. We always say that your best batsman should face the most balls, and Sangakkara coming in at number 5 really did show that there has been some muddled thinking within the camp, and perhaps people are trying to over-egg the cake as well. Sangakkara, after the match, said that he was batting at number 5 to counter the spin of the two Muralis, Karthik and Muralitharan. And it all smacked of a kind of negative attitude, because if you're coming at number 5 in a low-scoring game, and supposedly your best batsman with over 20,000 international runs, more test centuries than Bradman, you would expect him to be batting higher than a young man on his debut. The man in question in this case was Hanuman Vihari, who did score 44 not out of 46 on his IPL bow. But at the end of the day, I think there has been a lot of very interesting, very dodgy thinking at times, I think, by all IPL sides. Even if you look at the Bangalore innings, you got someone like Moses Henriques, who came in at number 5 for them. Coincidentally, he also scored 44, batting at number 5, batting behind someone like Karun Nair, who's not really renowned for anything, if we're being perfectly honest. So I think it is quite clear that you have to bat your best batsman up top and kind of forget about what could go wrong and focus on what will go right if you just stick to the basic tactics.
Well, speaking about perhaps slightly disappointing performances up top, Nishan, perhaps we should talk about Pondulkar, as I believe you have christened him on Twitter. I think that's a copyright out cricket hashtag there. So
most definitely, James. I think that we've now coined Jadeja-Geddon in the past few months. We've coined Ridicucatch, which is going to be in Oxford 2014 dictionary, and Pondulkar as well. I've seen everyone coin that now. It's been on TV commentary, it's been all over Twitter, it's been on all the major news websites as well. It's been all over the internet. It is the Justin Bieber of cricketing terms.
Okay, well, just turning away from your global domination briefly, Nishant, if I could just...
You can't get away from it, James. You can't escape from it.
Well, that is unfortunately, sadly true. But anyway...
Don't tell me you're not happy I brought Jadeja-Geddon upon this world.
Well, you have, much like John Hurt in Alien. You've given birth to a monster, but I think quite a pleasant one. But anyway, back to Sachin and Punter. If we look at how they've got on so far in the 2 matches they've played, against Delhi in the first match, they scored 52 of 45 balls, chasing 149, which you might say is not bad, but it really just gave the chase a gentle massage rather than break its back. So again, if you put that against one of your cardinal sins, perhaps it wasn't that great. In the second game, Tendulkar was possibly a bit unlucky to be given out to a ball which may have pitched outside leg from Dirk Nannes. It was still a great delivery though. But anyway, there's been a few rumblings surrounding this partnership, and to be honest, Nishant, I haven't heard so much disquiet about Tendulkar's returns since the tax authorities waived import duty on that Ferrari Michael Schumacher gave him. So it's wonderful to see Sachin and Punter batting together from a very sort of nostalgic, purist point of view. But from an IPL strategic point of view, do you think this partnership can possibly last?
Well, I think it will last for the sake of shirt sales, James, because together I think they've both shown that neither are actually capable of breaking a chase these days. I think that both batsmen would be absolutely fine in the sort of maybe Rahul Dravid role that he plays at the top of the order for Rajasthan, in terms of guiding a chase and maybe going along at a strike rate of maybe 120, 130 on a good day, and maybe even 150 if they really find their old form. But I mean, even if you go back to the great old days of Ponting and Tendulkar, you're talking about maybe going back to 2003, and even when Ponting pretty much lit up the T20 international scene when that first came about. He played a few sparkling innings, but even that was for a very brief period, and he never actually dominated domestic T20 to the extent that Pondulkar, if you will, actually dominated ODIs and Test cricket. And that's because they don't actually have as many gears as the younger generation, so their shots are generally a bit more limited, that you don't see many reverse sweeps from Ponting and Tendulkar. You don't see many slogs out of the stadium from Ponting and Tendulkar, especially these days. You compare them to the younger guys like Pollard, Dhoni, Albie Morkel, who will be coming over soon as well, and these are guys who hit the ball out of the stadium, and Tendulkar and Ponting don't actually do that these days. Even if you compare them to someone their own age, someone like Michael Hussey, he has that potential to actually break the back of a chase by hitting across the line early on, whereas the likes of Ponting and Tendulkar, they're both very similar if you compare them technically in T20, which is they like to play themselves in, they don't like to go from ball one, and they like to kind of nurdle the ball around a bit. They don't like to manufacture the shots, and so that's why Ponting and Tendulkar just won't be a happy marriage for too long. And we did mention this at the time of the IPL auction. I thought it was a joke that Ricky Ponting was picked up by any side, let alone a side like Mumbai, who had so many options at the top and has been struggling for so long, yet they pick a like-for-like player with Tendulkar. I really think that Mumbai have actually lost this tournament before it actually started, and they lost it as soon as they appointed Ricky Ponting captain, because that means that they are now manacled to him for the entire tournament, and now they are more screwed than anybody who criticises Sachin Tendulkar.
Well, heaven forbid, Nishant. But just on the subject of Pollard, we mentioned him last week. We were talking about him batting too low down the order, and actually Mumbai did rather cleverly produce a cunning collapse in order to get him in quite early against Chennai, where he absolutely bludgeoned 57 off a mere 38 balls. In Chennai's chase, there was actually another couple of interesting incidents. By pulling out of bowling when he'd actually reached the crease, Pollard rather bizarrely decided to try and out-psych Dhoni, which I think is rather like trying to beat Yoda at mind games. And after Dhoni had slapped him through point, it looked as if he was going to pull off yet again another improbable chase. But then, off the first ball of the final over, he absolutely blasted Munaf Patel, and the ball was heading away over the mid-wicket boundary, but then Pollard somehow swooped through the air and took the catch. I tweeted, Nishant, I think he's like a panther with buckets for hands, Pollard. He really is a phenomenon in the field. I don't think there's anybody else in world cricket who would have taken that catch at present. But, having said that, maybe young Gurkirat Singh might argue, because he also took a diving one-handed blinder down at fine leg. So that Dhoni-Pollard confrontation and those two catches have probably been my highlights so far. But Nishant, which team has made you hot under the collar and scream, "Yes, bank maximum"?
Well, that is a sentence to make me vomit in my mouth if there ever was one, James. You too? I didn't realise you'd crossed to the dark side as well, James. I am pretty disappointed, but pretty intrigued as well by that. Yeah, I think there is one team that has stood out for me. I think that in a lot of the previews, pundits were generally looking towards Mumbai and Chennai and Kolkata as well for the tournament. And to be honest, there's only one team that's really got a bit of an X factor about them at the moment for me. And we did mention them quite in depth last time as well, and I did say that they'd be the team to watch, and I think my faith in them has been entirely justified in the first round of games, and that is the Sunrisers Hyderabad. They've won two very tight matches, and though they have kind of stumbled their way through them, especially with their batting, I do believe that bowlers win you more matches in T20, and that's just because when you actually get past a certain point of expertise in skill in T20, especially in IPL when the boundaries are so small, and a lot of the bowlers you face, a lot of the local bowlers you face are really average medium pace bowlers who anybody could hit, anybody from club cricketer up to international cricketer up to the likes of Pollard. A lot of batsmen would be licking their lips at facing a lot of the bowling, and that's why it's so important to actually get your bowling attack to be as top-notch as possible, and that's where Hyderabad have really succeeded so far. They're led by Dale Steyn and Ishant Sharma, and even though Ishant can be a bit wayward, under the guidance of someone like Steyn as his spearhead, I think that Ishant could well fare a bit better just playing a bit of a supportive role rather than almost playing the mopping up role that he often does for India in the shadow of someone like Zahir, or sometimes in ODIs he does tend to go a bit AWOL when he is leading the attack. So you've got Steyn and Ishant as a pretty excellent first line combo. And then you've got someone like Tisara Pereira, who we also mentioned in depth last week as the player to watch this tournament, and he's done very well in his first couple of games for Hyderabad as well. Then you've got Amit Mishra, leg spinners, almost a luxury in T20 cricket, but as he's shown, leg spinners can win you matches, and Ashish Reddy, he's also done well with the ball so far. So I do think that the Sunrisers have a pretty excellent side, especially at least with the bowling setup. And if you basically consider the Sunrisers as Deccan reincarnated from last year, you see that they've pretty much got the same sort of core side. The only player that they've got rid of is Dan Christian in terms of their starting lineup. Unfortunately, JP Dumini still out with an Achilles injury, but the core of their side remains the same, especially the Indian players, pretty much the same as last year. But it's the management which has changed, and I think you can see with Tom Moody, he's been quite shrewd in that he's brought in Waqar Younis as an experienced pace bowler who's very well respected, and then you've also got someone like Chris Srikanth as well, who's kind of lampooned quite a lot in the media, but I think that at the end of the day, he does seem to inspire some sort of confidence in the local young contingent which Hyderabad still have, and I think that that's key. So that in Tom Moody, they've got an experienced IPL coach who commands respect. They've got someone like Dale Steyn who commands respect as well. They've got Cameron White, former international captain, Kumar Sangakkara, international captain. So I think that they've got a much closer together core group of players who the local Indians seem to be rallying around a lot better this year. And having won a couple of tight matches, I think that could kind of provide the spur that's needed to just kind of get Sunrisers going. And so, James, you know I don't really like to stick my neck out too much, but I've got a strong fancy for Sunrisers this tournament. So I'm gonna take a stand and say Sunrisers to win IPL 6. You heard it here first. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Radio Cricket. Thank you very much once again for joining us. Of course, you can listen to us on youtube.com/altcricket. You can download us from soundcloud.com/Radio Cricket, and on iTunes, just search for Radio Cricket, and we'll be in the top 5, maybe 10 searches for that if you give that a go. And on behalf of James and myself, I'd like to thank everybody who gives us a thumbs up and positive comments and feedback across all platforms. We really do appreciate the ego boost, although probably not half as much as Glenn Maxwell would right now. So until next week, I've been Nishant Joshi.
And I've been James Marsh.
And for those of you who saw me on Indian TV the other day discussing a certain South African wicketkeeper, I am sorry to inform you that your worst fears have been confirmed. We do have a gag on De Kock.
I think it was a very poor performance. One of the worst things I have ever seen done on a cricket field. Good night.